All right, so how about some massive news, I would say, a huge story here on Easter Sunday. Happy Easter to all those who celebrate. Odell Beckham Jr. is not a New York Jet. He is not a New York Giant again. He is a Baltimore Raven. He has agreed to a deal with the Baltimore Ravens, which is definitely a surprise as it makes some sense, but obviously the biggest story with with this, I think the Ravens in general, is the whole Lamar Jackson thing. Obviously there's been some big issues with Lamar, and is he going to sign him with the Ravens? He already has the franchise tag currently, so he's, on contract for another year. And one of the biggest criticisms that the Ravens have had, I think the fairest criticism with them, other than the Lamar Jackson thing, was the fact that teams have not done a great job at getting a number one receiver to help Lamar, right? Feels like they've kind of struggled with that. So getting an Odell Beckham Jr., I mean, listen, he was really good when we saw him with the Rams. The last we saw of him, he was about to get paid big time. Obviously, had the injury in the Super Bowl, did not play last year. The deal itself is going to be a one-year deal worth up to $18 million, which I think makes sense. I think having a very incentive-based deal, I get why they're doing that. I'm assuming there's not a ton of guaranteed money here, but it's the kind of thing where if he plays a good amount of snaps, he can stay, he can make some money. If he, does well enough, he could make at least a good chunk of change. But if it turns out that he's just not who he once was anymore, they're not stuck paying him a ton of money. And again, we don't know if Lamar is still going to be there, but I think it's safe to assume Lamar is still there. And if Lamar is still there, this is great news for Ravens fans, I think. I think Odell's a very good player, and at his best is an elite receiver who can, really fit that offense well, I think, on top of it. He can be someone who can win against one-on-one consistently and things like that. I think he could. One thing that maybe he doesn't get enough credit for, Odell, over his career is deep shots. I do think that, he's known for like the Odell slant, right, where he takes an Eli Manning pass 7 yards down the field and takes it for a touchdown. He can do that, but also he can have success down the field, which obviously Lamar has that big arm, and that could be something that could come in handy. So, a lot of people have brought up kind of the deficiencies of the Ravens passing game. I've kind of been a believer in, I think a big part of it is the receiving core and lack thereof. Now having Odell should just make this receiving core a lot more complete. It needs a number one option, and again, we don't know what we're going to see with Odell. We just don't. We don't even know if Lamar is going to be there. Is Tyler Huntley going to be the guy throwing to him? I don't know. But assuming it is Lamar throwing to him, we still have to see what Odell is. We do. We don't know what he's going to be, and I think it's also worth mentioning he wasn't great in Cleveland, right? So it's not necessarily just he's always been good but has injury history. He also was not able to make it work with Baker Mayfield. Now, listen, is that a Baker Mayfield issue? I'm willing to believe, sure. I'm willing to believe it was more about the external stuff. But still, there's some hope there because you have Mark Andrews and now Odell. Those are two, again, if Odell is Odell, those are two really good options. Rashad Bateman can now be a third option. Now, all of a sudden, this receiving core is starting to have real potential to do well. Again, we don't know what we're going to see from Odell, but it's just a very fascinating move and a great one, I think. I definitely was pounding the table saying teams should be going after Odell this offseason. I think it makes sense. So, signing with the Ravens, again, maybe he wouldn't have signed there if Lamar wasn't going to stay on the team. Maybe he believes Lamar is going to stay there. It's impossible to know. Lamar has requested a trade, but maybe they're just going to not, they're going to deny that request basically because if they don't have Lamar, well, I think they're not doing much next year anyway. But if they do, maybe it could work out. And maybe this is a way to kind of entice Lamar into staying. I don't know, but it's definitely very interesting. But yeah, those are my thoughts on this move. What do you guys think? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.